Hey guys, how's it going? I'm the Northwest Kid, and I'm doing a workshop with you guys with Arts Connects and Arts Can Circle. This is my home, and I'm in Treaty 6, Saskatoon, so let's check out inside.
Comes from oppression, ideologies turned into weapons. To the point where I fan my fans addicted to propaganda. You don't know me, you just know the stereo.
All right, so here are my dogs. This is Willow. This is Cedar. I'm going to be doing a workshop with you guys about recording your vocals. So I've done some work in Fort Albany and at Awapiskat, and I'm excited to do this workshop with you guys. So this is all about recording your vocals. And this is my dog Willow again, trying to be the star of the show. So this is the basic bare minimum you'll need to record. This is my program. It's Logic Pro X. So this is a program that you can only use on Mac computers. And I know some of your schools have this program. And I know a lot of the schools have GarageBand. And GarageBand is the little brother to this program. So I'll show you this interface. This is what we're going to essentially need to plug our microphone into our computer. And this is the cable. This is called an XLR cable. This is what we're going to use to plug the microphone into this box that we call our audio interface. These are the two main things that we'll need with our program to record our vocals. And so one thing is I'll turn on my phantom power, which is just extra power needed to run the microphone. So now that I have power running to it, you can see the green, and when I'm talking into it, basically I'll give my performance. So I'd be like, rich man made poor decision, don't support that way of living. And so it's green there. Fractured land, private prisons, operating on racism. So that's a good level. And if I was turning it up more, you can see how it goes from orange to red. That's bad. That means it's clipping. And we don't ever want to have audio clipping because it sounds distorted and it's not clean captured audio. So one thing that we want to do is essentially give as loud of a vocal performance that you're going to do when you record. Check, check, check. That's why people say check. So check, 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 check. And I want to make sure I'm always in the green before I record. And this is the bare minimum. Awesome. So one last thing that's super important is these audio interfaces have what we call a 1/4 inch. So there's XLR and then there's 1/4 inch. And one thing to notice is that like you might need one of these. It's an adapter. So if your school doesn't have like monitor headphones, you can plug your adapter in and plug your headphones in. And this is how you could like listen to and record your vocals with your own headphones. And one also important thing for me to show you guys, if we look at these two right here, this one will tell you that it says stereo and this one's mono. And how you can tell is that the mono only has one ring and the stereo has 2 rings. So you're gonna need to make sure you know which cables you're getting. So you're gonna need the stereo cable for your headphones. And if you're running track into the audio interface, you're gonna need a mono cable, and that's just 1 ring. So yeah, that basically covers it for the most part, but this is also an adapter piece. Most computers at your schools or at home are USB, but just in case, this is an adapter piece you need to plug into the newer Mac computers because for some reason, everything is going to USB-C, and that's what a USB-C port looks like. So this is a USB-C and this is a USB-A. So these are just like the basic things you need to know about your cables and the tools needed before you start recording your tracks.
All right, you guys. So I want to teach you guys a bit about EQing today. This is the fundamentals of EQing, and I also want to teach you guys about something called gain staging. So gain staging is essentially the levels of each part of the track. And if we look at the very bottom of my screen, this is my channel for my instrumental. And if we go over one more, that's my main vocal track. And if we go over one more, that's my ad libs. So my ad libs are just a layer of vocals where I'm my own hype man, essentially. But if you're just starting out and you're in school and your school has some of these resources, this is where you could find your own instrumentals on BeatStar or YouTube, and you can put them into this recording program and start tracking vocals for yourself. And because I'm in Zoom, I had to record my vocals beforehand. But I just want to show you guys the mixer at the very bottom again. If we look, each mixer has a 0 dB point. And each of these mixers can go down to negative dB or go up past the 0. If we're looking in the very bottom left corner, we're seeing these faders in our mixer. So each one of these lines can move. These are our faders to our mixer. So this is going to control my vocal. And naturally, when you create a new channel, they all start at 0. And 0 dB is the ceiling of your mix. Like anything that passes 0 dB will distort and clip. And what that means is it'll sound super harsh. But if you look down here, I'm just showing you 0 and the negative aspects of dB, and past that white line, those are the positive at. So it's just like 0 dB, this is plus 1 dB, this is plus 2 dB. And if we go down, there's negative 1 dB and negative 2 dB. So gain staging, we want everything at least 3.5 dB, negative 3.5 dB. So that means that we're creating just enough space that everything stays in the green. So this is my instrumental, this is my main vocal, this is my ad lib, and I'll put them all back at 0 dB. So once they're all back here, I'll play the song for you, and there's going to be some clipping, and the whole bottom section is our mixer, and we want to be able to look at the bottom half because this is where I'm teaching you guys right now. Excuse Zoom, there's no mouse shown, so I'm still learning how to teach with no fingers to point, essentially. But let me play the whole song for you.
Privilege comes from oppression. Ideologies turned into weapons to the point where our fams are fans and dickies of propaganda. You don't know me, you just know the stereotype. The Northwest kid coming through all of your stereos like, rah, damn, I never forgot who I am.
So at the very bottom, here's all of our faders. And this is the 0 dB, that's where the fader is. And on the right-hand side, it says 0.3 and it's red. So that means that those signals are going past 0 dB and that we're starting to lose quality within our audio. So what we want to do is I'll go back to this vocal where it says 0.1 on the left-hand side, and it says negative 0.6 on the right-hand side. So because it's orange, it means it's getting close to red, and green's good and red's bad. So what we want to do is we want to grab that fader and bring it down, and see how it still says negative 0.6 dB in that sort of mark. And on the left-hand side, it's slowly going down to 2.5, 2.7. We'll bring it down to 3.5. That's a very safe space. Once we get to negative 3 dB, that's where, once we start passing negative 3 dB, we go from green to orange. And if we pass 0 dB, that's when we get into the red. And the red is super bad. So I'm just going to go through, and that's my main vocal here. If we look to the left on the mixer section at the bottom, that's my ad lib. And yeah, like I'll turn that down too. Maybe a little bit more than just what I had for my main vocal, because this is something that's in the background. So here we go. I'll play it again. And so the beat, if we look at the beat channel at the very bottom of the mixer, that's always the section that has the most space between 0 dB and the negative dBs. So that's the headroom. And what we want to do is try to create space in the mix for our vocals. So we'll just turn down the beat.
Ideologies turned into weapons to the point where our fams are fans of decades and decades of propaganda. You don't know me, you just know the stereotype. The Northwest kid coming through all of your stereos like rah. Damn, I never forgot who I am. I know both of my clans. I got love for all of my fam. Wait, hey, we so pan-indigenous. I can't know.
So this is all called gain staging. And once we have everything looking green and sounding like the beat's not overpowering our vocals, that's where we can get into the EQ section. Because we're in Zoom, you're not going to hear the harshness of the frequencies, but you're still going to get a general idea of how to EQ. And so if we look at the channel that says NWK vocals, and we look down here, I can click on my mixer section and go to this EQ, this channel EQ. So this is where we're going to start removing the boominess of our vocals. And if we look over here, all the stuff on the left-hand side of this graph are the low frequencies of what we're going to hear. And all of the stuff on the right-hand side, all these areas here that are lighting up, those are all the higher frequencies. So it's like all of those. It's a spectrum of sound, really.
To the point where our fams are fans of decades and decades of propaganda. You don't know me.
So when I do my first basic EQ, what I'm trying to do is remove any sort of boominess. And how I do that is doing a filter. So I'll click on this red mark here, and I can move it over here, and just watch. When I move it all the way over to the right, it's gonna sound really thin. And as I move it back, you're gonna hear a little bit more body. And if I move it all the way back, that's when that body starts to get boomy. And we just want to remove any sort of boominess that we hear in my vocals. And I'll play it. So
you just know the stereotype, the Northwest kid coming through all of your stereos like rah. Damn, I never forgot who I am. I know both of my clans. I got love for all of my fam. Wait, hey, we so pan-indigenous. I can't notice our differences. Is that all the music businesses?
So sometimes it's my breathiness, like my breath in the take, that creates that boominess. So it's good to hear in it and to pick it out. And now I can show you the notching part of EQing. So all these little arrows right here, what we're going to do is we're going to boost all of those signals. And we're going to, so we make them skinny and we lift it up, and that's a boost. And so you're not going to be able to hear all the harshness just through a Zoom, but if you had an audio interface and you're doing this through your school, you'd be able to hear it. Even just had headphones plugged into the computer, you would hear the harshness more than you will translated through Zoom. But this is called notching, and we want to like go through the whole vocal take.
Sponsorships, corporate businesses who are visionless. We still talking that third eye like we know where the vision is,
So
but
there's
it's
some-
different. I ain't time, it's that, but my people were fishermen, none of that bitchin' man. And the government.
So yeah, like you'll hear it sound really tinny, and it's like that tinniness is what could feed back in a live setting. Those are the harshnesses that we want to remove. So what we want to do is just do that with all of these little markers. And yeah, like we only want to notch things about -3.5 dB, because remember, we're trying to create that space and keep everything in the green.
Would never imprison them for some of the dividend. And you know it's not okay. Quit playing. And it's hard not to give the time of day when they profit off a crime that pays.
I can hear that harshness in my headphones. You might not hear that translated through the Zoom meeting. But if you're doing this and you're following this and you're trying to do this in a school setting, I'm very much certain that you will be able to hear the differences in that harshness and correct them. And so I'm just going to keep doing that throughout
know
this whole
me.
thing.
You just know the stereotype, the Northwest kid coming through all of your stereos like rah. Damn, I never forgot who I am. I know both of my clans. I got love for all of my fam. Wait, hey, we so pan indigenous. I can't notice our differences. Is that all the music businesses, sponsorships, corporate businesses who are visionless? We still talking that third eye like we know where the vision is, but it's different. I ain't time, it's that, but my people were fishermen, none of that bitchin' man. And the government would never imprison them for some of the dividend. And you know it's not okay. Quit playing, and it's hard not to get the time of day.
Awesome. So this is the subtractive part of EQing, and then we do an additive part of EQing. So we can add it again. And now that we've taken away a lot of those harsh frequencies, it's okay for us to amplify certain frequencies we want without having the exaggerated harshness too. So I like to do this with the beat playing so that I'm certain that the frequencies that I'm boosting are helping my voice be heard through the mix.
Damn, I never forgot who I am. I know both of my clans. I got love for all of my fam. Wait, hey, we so pan indigenous. I can't notice our differences. Is that all the music businesses, sponsorships, corporate businesses who are visionless? We still talking that third eye like we know where the vision is, but it's different. I ain't time.
All right. And so I'm really fortunate that this instrumental that I have, I produced and I sent away to somebody to mix for me so that it's mixed well. And because it's mixed well, I don't need to take away from it. But hypothetically, if I went to the beat section on my mixer and opened up another EQ just for the beat, I could look at where I boosted that signal. So if I look here, it would say that it is at 150 hertz with like a 1.6 dB boost. So I would go to my EQ section on the instrumental, and I could kind of generally duck that section. So what I'm doing here is just creating a little bit more room for my voice to be heard in the mix.
I'm stopping my people, official men, none of that bitchin' man. And the government would never imprison them for some of the dividend. And you know it's not okay. Quit playing, and it's hard not to get the time of day when they profit off a crime that pays.
Yeah, so that's a quick lesson in gain staging and EQing. But I hope this helps you guys just on the technical side of things when you're getting into it. And yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Much love.